All right, so let's start with that first question. What are all the subjects and topics you would recommend studying and learning about for real estate investing? And really what this is saying is, I don't know anything about real estate, where should I start? Now, the person who asked me this question is somebody who's very new to real estate investing, and so they really don't know, there's so much out there that they want to know what they can hone in on first so they can have a good foundation. And obviously that's the best thing when you're starting something new like this. So these are the topics that I think would be best. When it comes down to real estate investing, it's all about money. Everything's all about money. So if it wasn't about money, you wouldn't be doing it in the first place, right? So one of the first things the topics that I think you should look at is to be able to evaluate properties, meaning how to give value to a property or what gives value to a property. You need to understand what price per square footage and how adding a bathroom or adding a bedroom or adding a square foot to a property would add to its value. Knowing what things to add or what to work on in a property that adds value versus doesn't earn you anything extra. For instance, adding a pool to the backyard really doesn't get you very much money, but fixing up a kitchen or fixing up a bathroom, adding a bedroom, those are things that when you put money into them, you may get a lot more out of the property when you sell it than the money you put in to fix it up in the first place. So the first topic would be learning how to get value in a property. The next thing would be rehab costs. So as far as this topic is concerned, you want to know what it costs to have somebody fix something. You'll need to call plumbers in your area and find out what they charge per hour, so you know what the labor costs are. You'll want to find out what would it cost to install different things, just to get your mind thinking about the different costs that you might run into when it's time to change a floor, to install cabinetry in a kitchen, and so a lot of that is just calling people that are experts in the trade, calling up contractors and saying, hey, how much would it cost to do this or that? And you may have to have square footage involved. They may say, hey, how many linear feet do you have that you're wanting to install trim, or how many square foot of tile would you want to do? And they may say, hey, it's going to cost you $2 a square foot or something like that, installed price. But you want to have those ideas so that when you do start looking at a rehab or looking at a fix and flip, you can walk into a house and know, hey, it's going to cost me $1.50 a square foot to replace the carpet, to get carpet and padding in here. And that way you can just start to put things straight into your mind, do the math in your head when you're at the property. Because when you see a good deal, everyone sees a good deal. And so you have to be able to move quickly with your mind. So the topic so far, once again, is to being able to evaluate property, finding what adds more value to a property than something else, and then what it costs to fix it in the first place. The next thing, the next topic, I've got two more. The next one would be closing costs, insurances, and taxes. You want to have an understanding of what percentage of the purchase price you're going to end up paying in closing costs whenever you buy a property. So this is going to change, obviously, if you use a realtor or when you sell the property, you're going to have to pay their commission, and when you buy a property, you may be able to, there are all kinds of little costs that are involved, insurance and taxes. Sometimes you pay taxes ahead of time, sometimes you pay taxes in arrears, depending on what state you're in. So you want to find out what you can expect to pay as far as property tax rates. Some may be 1% or a 2%, depending on what state you're in. Some places, like in California, they can be really expensive to pay property taxes. So you want to know what those are ahead of time, so you know what your payment's going to end up being. All right, so the next place that you would need to study, the next topic, would be average of averages. And what that really is finding out in the city where you want to invest what the highest percentage of people that are purchasing homes, what they're looking for. So if, let's say that you're in a place where the bottom of the market's $100,000 for a home, and the top of the market $600,000 per home, $600,000 for a home. So what you would end up doing is going to a realtor or calling a realtor and saying, hey, where's the highest percentage of homes sold price range? And they may say, oh, in this area you'll get 70% of the buyers are looking for a home between $250,000 and $400,000. And so with that information, you'll be able to use that to narrow down what kind of home you want to buy to be able to fix up and sell. The higher the number of people that are looking for that kind of home, the higher the possibility is that you can sell your home. So, if the lowest 10% of the people that are buying in the market are looking at homes that are 100,000 to 200,000, you probably want to avoid that. You want to go to something that's a little bit more expensive because you want to be able to find a home that you'll be able to turn around and have the most eyes looking on it to be able to sell that house. Now, the numbers you can drop a zero off the end of it if that helps. I know there's some places back east where you can buy a house for $10,000 up to say $60,000. And the highest number of people may be looking at something between 50 and 60,000. So you could buy something for 30, put 10 into it, and sell it for 50, and make a $10,000 profit. So those are just some ideas for you. Those are the topics. Now the next part of the question was what subjects to study. Now as far as the subjects, I would suggest for someone starting out, you want to study doing real estate options, being the option to buy a property or option to sell a property, as well as tax liens, whether it be tax lien certificates or tax liens themselves, and then finally seller financing. Those are the three things that I would suggest. Now, the reason I suggest these is with people that are starting out, the things that I mentioned, a lot of times you don't have to have as much money up front. So if you're one just starting out and you're able to learn about options, you'll be able to buy a property, or at least the right to buy a property, for very cheap. The least that I've ever spent on an option was $20. So I paid $20 for the option to buy a property for 9 months at a certain price, and then I was going to go and sell that option to somebody else. So options can be a very good way for you to get in with debt-free investing, as well as starting out on your own. So the next one would be the tax liens. This is another way that if you don't have a whole lot of cash, you can actually pay somebody else's taxes and eventually own the property if they don't pay their taxes off. So this is another way that you can have little money or less money and earn money from real estate. It's another way you can do tax-free or debt-free investing or starting off. And then the last was seller financing. The last subject, seller financing. I suggested that because now it's not a way that you can do debt-free investing. However, it is a way that you can start investing with very little out of pocket. A lot of times in, let's say, back east in Ohio or Missouri, some of these other places where you can buy a property for less than $50,000, there aren't a whole lot of banks that will lend to you for $50,000. It's not something they're interested in. They don't make a lot of money off of it. You look at $50,000 and let's say they get 5% interest, that's $2,500 in a year. So it's not a whole lot of money that they're going to make. Granted, there are some people that will lend you that money. However, in these areas where you have a lot of the cheaper properties, the people who are selling the home are quite often willing to hold the note. So when I say that, that means, let's say there's a property for $30,000. It's a single family residence, a house, and somebody's been trying to sell this for 6 months or so. You may be able to go in there and say, hey, for $30,000, I can give you $1,000 down if you'll carry the paper. And a lot of times they'll be willing to do that. So it's a way that you can put a very little amount of money down, still be able to buy a property, and this is a good way that you don't have to use your credit. So for those people that have bad credit or terrible credit or haven't even established credit yet, you can buy a house where somebody else will hold on to what, a lot of times they'll own the property outright, and so you can give them very little money down and pay them for 3, 4, 5 years, and then they want to have all the money then. So at that point, you can refinance it or sell it before you have to pay them back, which is my favorite thing. Also, if you're finding a place that you can do that, a lot of times the rent is much higher than what your mortgage payment would be to them, and so you just take the rent and you pay them directly whatever the rent is and pay it off sooner, which would then have debt-free investing. So those are ways that you can get in early on with very little money out of pocket, or some of the ways you can do debt-free investing, which is my favorite way because it's less risk. So if you have any further questions, feel free to ask. Thanks.